and welcome to my updated winter morning routine. A lot has changed since I last did this style of video. We've done the whole stable renovation series that's now complete, so we have the new feed room and the new tack room, and we now have 7 equines ever since I rehomed my new rescue pony, Duke, so that is a lot of animals to look after. So let me show you what I get up to in the morning and how I look after them all. So the first thing I do is walk out of my loft with about a million different layers on, because this particular morning was absolutely freezing. It was so icy and cold outside. So then I walk up to the horses. They're usually all there with their heads sticking out, so I like to say hello to them. Morning, boys. Good morning. Every morning, as soon as I open the gate, Duke always comes over to say good morning and give me a little greeting.
Morning, Duke. Good morning. I got ice on my gloves. You probably don't want to eat that, no?
And of course, Duke loves a good bit of morning scratchies, where I give him a little scratch on his tummy or his chest, which is his absolute favourite place.
Hello. Hey, sweetie. Yeah.
I also say good morning to Casper. He's probably the least cuddly out of all the horses, but he does love the attention, really. And when he does love a bit of a cuddle, it just makes it feel even more special.
Good boy. Yeah, he was so gorgeous. What's with his dirt? What's with his dirt? Hi, Mickey. Hello. Good morning. You gonna lick? Lick in my hand? Yeah?
I then say good morning to Mickey, and as usual, he was very licky, especially as I had a bit of ice water left on my glove, which obviously tasted interesting.
And good morning, Joey. Good morning. I got nothing on my hand, but we'd like to scratch. Good chin scratch.
And last but not least, it's then time to go over to Joey and give him some morning cuddles and scratches. And out of all the horses, he's probably the one that loves the attention the most.
Should I get your breakfast then? Yeah? Alright then.
Next it's time to go into the feed room, and I always make sure that I shut the door properly, and that's because if not, Duke would be here in a flash. Duke is free range, so he does have his own stable, but we don't shut him in there because we've rehomed him from Wild Horse Welfare. That's what they recommended, because he's never had a stable before, so he doesn't feel like he's sort of trapped in. So then it's on to making the feeds. Casper has Bailey's low-cal balancer because he's one of those horses that he needs the nutrients from the food, but not enough that he gets fat, because he is definitely a good doer. Mickey and Duke also have low-cal balancer, and Joey has performance balancer to make sure that he has enough of the essential proteins, because he is building up quite a lot of muscle at the moment. I also add some light chaff to all of their food. This just gives it a little bit more substance to it. It also helps them chew their food properly, because it's a nice bit of roughage. The first horse I give their food to is Duke, and that's because, again, he's always waiting outside. Sometimes he rubs his butt against the door and traps me in. I don't know why he does this. It's just a little habit he's got into. I always like to give him his food in his stable just so he gets a little bit more used to being in there, and also associates it with being a positive place, because all horses absolutely love food. Then it's time to go back into the feed room and get Joey's. So from then on, I like to do everything in the pecking order. So Joey is at the top of the herd, and also he's right next to the feed room, so it does make it a little bit easier. I always like to ask my horses to go back when I give their food, just for ground manners. They don't get too pushy and feel like they're gonna barge into you. Mickey, on the other hand, he gets very hangry in the morning. It is the most exciting time of the day. You can see he licks his lips, he whinnies, he jumps up and down. Unfortunately, Casper is next on the list to get his food, so he has his. Look how gentle Casper is. He's such a sweet little soul, and he always steps back. He doesn't get too excited or pushy. He's just awesome. Mickey, on the other hand, oh my goodness, he starts physically shaking. He gets so excited.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, this is so exciting! Okay, back. Good boy, there we go. Well done.
However, even though Mickey does find it so exciting, he's always really good with his ground manners and does go back when I ask him. Sometimes I just love to watch the horses eat their breakfast in the morning because they all just look so happy. After that, it's then time to make all of the donkeys' feeds, so I grab Willow's bucket, Bruno's bucket and Toby's bucket and plonk them down onto the ground just because I find it a lot easier than being down there while I make their feed. In Willow's breakfast, she gets 1 sachet of equipalazone, which is sort of like a horsey painkiller. That's because she was born with arthritis in both her back legs, so she's a little bit lame, and this just helps her get along with her day comfortably. I like to wash my hands afterwards just to help not cross-contaminate any of the other equine's food with her medicine. Then it's time to go over to the donkeys. By this time, usually Duke has finished his breakfast, so he will be waiting outside, and that's why I have to lift all of the buckets really high above his head so he doesn't accidentally put his little nose in there and grab a little sneaky treat. Then I close all the gates and it's time to walk all the way over to the donkeys field.
Oh my goodness, so much excitement. Are you ready for brekkie? Yeah? Are you ready? Oh my goodness, it's the best time of the day. Who's first? Toby, you are orange. There we go. Bruno, don't, there we go. Leave Toby's alone. There we go, there's yours. Willow, come on. Yours is here. Up you come.
I always give Willow her breakfast in the donkey's stable, and that just means that if Toby and Bruno finish their food first, they're not going to come in and accidentally eat Willow's that has her medicine in. So once she's in, I give her a little bit of a pat, and then it's time to go outside, shut all the doors, and make sure that nobody's going to come in and eat her food. Once I've done that, I then check their water. There was a really thin little layer of ice over the top. Usually here in England, it very rarely gets cold enough that I have to remove ice, but as I said, on this particular day it was colder than others, so I went and made sure that all of the water troughs didn't have any ice in them. After that, it was then time to let out Snickers and Mars. Again, their water was frozen, so my method was to give it a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a slosh around, and then I reluctantly, with bare fingers, managed to get out the main bit of ice. And then afterwards, I got my watering can with some fresh water and filled it up. I don't know why, I do this every single time. I always put a little bit too much water in, so when I hang it up, it overflows a little. Even though they have access to pellets at all times, something I like to do is scatter it around on the grass, just so then they have a bit of enrichment, a bit of foraging, and then once all the animals are fed, it's then time to take my wellies off, go into the house, and get some breakfast myself. Once I've eaten, it's then time to get all my layers back on and walk up to the yard. The first horse I take out into the field is Duke, and it's time to do up his tiny weeny little head collar. I struggled a little bit with my thick winter gloves on, but I got there. It's time to open up the gate and lead him to the yard. He used to be really timid and not like to walk over to the paddock on his own, but now he's got so much more confident recently and just looks so happy when he knows it's time to go out in the field, although he does sometimes get a little bit distracted and likes to look at other things on the way. Once I've put Duke out, it's then time to go and grab Mickey.
Alright, Mickey. Are you ready? Are you ready to go out?
I don't know why, but on this particular day, when I was putting on Mickey's head collar, his forelock got stuck, which makes him look absolutely ridiculous. I am so sorry, Mickey, but I'm not gonna lie, he does look kind of cute at the same time. And of course, I lead Mickey over to the paddock that him and Duke are in, so they have a nice little field shelter, they get a little bit of the pine forests, they have a lot of enrichment in their paddock. Duke always also comes over to say hi. I also have to make sure that when I'm leading Mickey in that I shut the gate as soon as possible, because if not, Duke here does like to be a little bit of an escape artist. Where Mickey and Duke's paddock is situated, the sun usually reaches it by this time in the morning, so the grass is no longer frozen. Also, something that really makes me chuckle is Joey and Casper always watch me when I put the boys out. I don't know if it's because they want to know where Joey and Duke are going, Or maybe it's because they're like, Esme, can you hurry up please? I want to go out to my field. So once I've done that, I then put Mickey and Duke's head collar on their little holder here that's in the haylage room or the storage room, whatever you want to call it. Then it's time to walk around to Casper. Now, something Casper does in the morning when I put his head collar on, he always looks a little grumpy. I don't know why. Maybe he just, you know, hasn't defrosted yet this morning and isn't quite awake. But what's really funny is as soon as he knows that he's going out to the field, he becomes like, it's like a switch goes off and he just becomes like his happy Casper self. I really don't know why he does this. For example, you'll see in this clip coming up that I open up his stable door and I'm like, come on Casper, let's go. And he just takes a few seconds to be like, okay, I'll get out of bed, mum. But so look, his ears just spring forward as soon as he knows he's going to the field. Like, look, he's so happy. He's like, yeah, I'm going to my paddock. But what's really cute is when I take his head collar off, some days he doesn't like to leave me.
See ya, Casper. Bye bye. Bye bye. I know you want to stay. See ya.
Last but not least, it's then time to walk back up to the stables and to grab Joey. This walk now, oh my goodness, we've had so much rain recently and the fields are so muddy, so it's a little bit of a slippery walk, but because the ground was a little frozen, I found it easier. On this particular day, Joey is usually very keen to get to the field. He's a bit of a keen bean, but no, he's usually really good, especially when I have to shut the gate with one arm. He cooperates very well. It's just, oh, look how cute he is. He's just so gentle, but of course he doesn't stick around like Casper does. He goes straight to the grass. At the bottom of their paddock they also have this part which has longer grass, and also the grass doesn't really get that frozen even on really icy days because that grassy area is below the trees. After putting the horses out, it's then time to go back over to the donkeys because we cannot forget about Willow. So I come and greet her and then open her stable door. She's usually poking her head over or looking over. Also, she will let you know once she's finished her food because she will bray, and she brays pretty loudly. I like to shut the door once I'm inside just so I can grab her bucket and inspect that she's eaten it all, because sometimes Bruno and Toby can be nosy and want to barge straight in, and obviously we don't want them to be eating Willow's food that has medicine on. Then I collect up all of the buckets, and something I've been doing recently that I've actually been really enjoying, instead of washing all of the feed buckets with the hose pipe outside, I've been using my little sink in the new feed room, which I love. It feels like having my own mini little kitchen, or my horse kitchen for making their feeds. But yeah, washing out your horse's feed buckets is really important because if they have any bits of food left, especially if they're a picky eater, the food when it goes a little bit old, it can go sour and taste disgusting, especially for horses like Mickey and Willow who have medication in their food, so it's really important that they eat it. Once I've done that, I then put my gloves on because it is still such a cold day, and then it's time to get on to mucking out. Joey is so messy. He literally just, I don't know what he does in his stable, but he makes sure that every single corner and area of his stable is absolutely filthy. So on to mucking out. The light on this particular day, oh my goodness, it was beautiful. I always find mucking out really therapeutic because it's kind of like a time where you can have some mindfulness and you don't really have to think about anything, and it sounds kind of sad, but I actually really enjoy my little walk to the muck heap through the pine forest because it is so beautiful. Okay, so I might not be able to say the same thing about our muck heap. We need to really clear it away. It's kind of overflowing at the moment. Then I give Joey's stable a sweep, and I also added some new shavings because although my horses do have rubber mats, so it's nice and soft for them to lie on, and the shavings should really be there for absorbency, I do like to give them nice big fluffy beds, especially in the winter when they're in a little bit more, to make sure that they're nice and comfortable. And Joey's bed is definitely fit for a king. I always find when I look back at the footage it doesn't look that big, but Joey's stable is like twice the size of the other horses. So the last thing I like to do when I muck out the stables is do their water, and that's because if you do the water first, when you're fluffing up all the shavings, a bit of the dust can go into the water, which can be kind of gross. And then finally I give the yard a big sweep. I don't know how and I don't know why, but I always find the yard gets so dirty. Maybe it's bits of haylage or shavings or this time of year a lot of leaves end up on it, so I find giving it a sweep just makes everything seem so tidy. And lastly, it's time to make the horses haylage nets ready for the night, so everything is ready. I like to use this sort of contraption to hold my haylage nets open. It just makes me feel like I have an extra pair of hands, and I always like to weigh it to make sure each horse is getting the right amount of food. And then yeah, that's pretty much my morning routine done. I just want to say thank you to you guys for watching today's video. If you're new or have not done so already, please like and subscribe, it really does help me out and I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!